everybody and welcome back to the channel. If you're here for the first time, I'm Jane. My husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in northwest France. And every Friday we open our kitchen and cook something for you. Now this week it's all about the pantry. It's all about the store cupboard and taking something from our stores, because there's no point buying it and just looking at it. We buy it to eat it and keep it stocked up. And this week is all about the humble corned beef. Now this tin here of corned beef cost me €2.50. So it's not cheap, but it's way cheaper than buying any beef that I have to cook. And at the moment, things like chicken and beef are just not on my shopping list. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we cooked for you this week. Well, there it is, front and centre, my corned beef. I'm a big fan of corned beef. All there is in that tin is beef, nothing else, just beef. And I'm going to make a couple of dishes today with it. I'm going to make some corned beef pasties, and I'm going to make a corned beef and vegetable layer bake. I'm a big fan of it. It's a bit more expensive than it used to be, but it's a lot cheaper than buying fresh beef and cooking it myself. And I'm going to run through my ingredients of what I'm going to make. Okay, let's run through my ingredients. Well, obviously you can see over here, there's my flour and my butter. I will also add some salt. And to make my pastry or pie crust or whatever you call it where you are, I use half the weight of fat to flour. So if I use 300 grams of flour, I'll use 150 grams of fat. You can use lard, you can use butter, you can use vegetarian butter, as you please. And then inside of my corned beef pasties, there's going to be cooked onion, some cooked potato, and corned beef. I will put some salt and pepper in it and a splash of Worcester sauce, and then I'll make the pasties. They're a great thing that I can make really quickly, not just make some small ones and put them in the freezer for Mike's lunches. He works physically very hard. Sometimes he just wants to eat something quick, and a pasty does just that. Now in my corned beef and vegetable layer bake, I'm going to do something very similar. So I'm going to saute some onions, and I've got some peppers here. I bought these peppers fresh when they were on real discount, and then I've sliced them up and frozen them. I've got a little bit left of some frozen parsley. I'll add that to it. Obviously, I'm going to chop up the corned beef and put in there. I'll cook the carrots and put carrots in it, and obviously cook potato in it as well. And ever so thrifty me at the background here, that is pork lard that I've saved. So it's like dripping when you cook the meat and you take the fat from it. So I've kept that. And sometimes you hear me talking about stock pots, and I'm going to get this into shot now. So as you can see here, it's a little pot of stock, of concentrated stock. And you can see here, I got one again on mega discount from a store called Noz in France, where they sell short dated food sometimes. So I got that. So that's all of my ingredients. And as I always say in my videos, without further ado, I'm going to get cooking. I always make my pastry first, because pastry, whether it's regular flour pastry or gluten-free pastry, once you've made it, you need to chill it for 30 minutes. And as you can see in here, I have 500 grams of regular flour. And I have 250 grams of cold butter. So I'm going to put the flour in first, and it already has salt in with it. I'll cut the butter up into little cubes, put it in over the top, and then I'll add water to it, switch it on and off, and then it will just form a lump, and it will form a lump. And it's always best to use cold water that you've had in the fridge. So sorry about that, I managed to not video that, so let me talk through what I did. I put the flour and the salt in the food processor. I then added chunks of cold butter. I switched it on and kept mixing it round and round. I then took the lid off, and a few teaspoonfuls at a time I kept adding the water, putting the lid back on, switching it on again, taking the lid off, adding more water, switching it back on again. And when it starts to make a sort of thump, 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 thump noise, it's made one dough. And you can see here is my finished pastry. And that's going to go into the fridge to chill for 1 hour. I'm now going to start cooking all the ingredients for my corned beef and vegetable layer bake. I have over there 750 grams of sliced potatoes. I'm only going to part cook them, not fully cook them. And over here I have 4 sliced carrots. I'm going to cook those all the way because we don't want hard carrots in it. In my pan here I have some leftover pork dripping I've kept from before. Waste not, want not. And here I have 200 grams of frozen onions. You could use, maybe look here, about 3 medium sliced onions. And I have here 150 grams of frozen peppers. You can leave this out, you don't have to, you can put whatever you like in it, whatever vegetables you want, anything you want. Courgettes, zucchini is quite horrible with mashed potatoes. It's nicer just on its own, but hey, it might be your thing. So I'm going to heat the fat, saute these, cook everything else, and then you will see me assemble it. Oil the pan, and I'm just going to assemble everything here in layers. That's all I'm going to do. In here I have the stock pot that you saw earlier, and about 3/4 cup of water. That's 200 millilitres of hot water. I've also added in some pepper, and I've also added in some Worcester sauce. And once I've layered it all in there, I will pour the stock in so it cooks in there. It won't take long to cook because everything's already part cooked. The potatoes aren't mushy, but you can see those there. See, they are part cooked. Not totally cooked, but part cooked. Because I don't want to be in the oven for too long because the oven's expensive to use. So I'm going to start layering up this. Oh, I'm going to show you this as well. So here is 1 whole tin of corned beef. So when you cut it up, you can see it's quite a lot. It's beef and salt. That's all that's in there. And it's cooked beef, and it's soft and it's delicious. And I shall put that in there. It'll heat up when it goes in the pan, but it will all cook down. There we go. I'm going to get layering. So I'm just about to get ready to make my corned beef pasties. I have in here about 150 grams, which would be 2 large sliced onions, and I've got some of the leftover fat from before. I've got in here about 3 medium potatoes, about the size of my hand, I suppose, medium potatoes, and I've cut them into cubes. And again, I'm going to part cook these. I'm going to cook the onions until they're quite soft. Now, I'm going to show you this. So I have here my layer bake that will not go into the oven until the pasties go in. So everything will go into the oven at the same time. And I've got everything ready, and I have my baking tray ready with my greaseproof paper on it. My pastry is made and chilled. So I'm going to cook these, and then you're going to see me assemble the pasties. So here's my fried onions and my cooked potatoes. Again, I've not overcooked them. They're just soft, they're not mushy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in my corned beef, and as everything is hot, this will all melt together with it. So when it goes into the pasty, it will be all mixed up. So that's what I'll do. And then I will construct my pasties. You can see here, it's melting. I wanted to show you something else as well, because I'm all about stretching and bulking and using what you have. You could add some tinned vegetables to this, maybe sweet corn, peas, or if you're British, good old baked beans stirred through it. You could add any seasoning you like to this. I'm just going to add plenty of pepper, and that's going to be it in mine. And it'll be all soft, and the meat will just completely melt inside the pasty. And I think from this, I'm going to be able to make 4 good sized pasties. Before I put these in the oven, I have chilled these for an hour. And I've done that because if you put warm pastry with a warm filling in the oven, the pasties will just fall apart. I've got 1 beaten egg here. I should add something else as well. What I've done with the corned beef and potato layer bake here is I have brushed all the top potatoes with some oil. You saw earlier I had my oil in a jar, and I save my oil. So if I cook some fried potatoes or make some homemade chips, I use that oil again, and I keep it. And I'll use it for things like if I fry an egg, or I just want some oil for some roast potatoes, or in this case, the crispy potatoes, that go on top. Now I have preheated my big oven to 200 degrees. I will get Mike to put on the screen what that is in Fahrenheit. And these are going to go in the oven, and I'll put them in for half an hour initially. I'll then check them to see if it needs cooking any longer, or if the temperature needs turning down. So there we go, glazed pasties. I also put them on baking paper. They never stick if I put them on baking paper. If I don't, then I'm spending hours chiseling them off the tray and I'm wasting half of it. I'm trying to use up all the egg here. Don't like to waste anything. There we go. They're about to go into the oven. So here's the finished food. We've got 4 big pasties, and I'll show you with the size of my hand. They are the size of my hand. And that's come from 1 tin of corned beef for €2.50. They're great. Lunches for Mike's. And he usually eats half of one for lunch, so that's actually 8 lunches for him. And then here we have the corned beef and vegetable layer bake. It's not going cold, it's in my Le Creuset casserole dish, so it's keeping it nice and hot, and I'm just cooking some green beans to go with it. And again, this will feed us for 2 days, so I will plate up 4 meals. 2 we will eat tonight, and 2 we will eat tomorrow. And again, €2.50 of corned beef. It's not bad at all, is it? And it's really delicious. Oh, I wish you could smell it. We hope that you enjoyed that, or you found that interesting or helpful in any way at all. And if you did, go on, hit the like button. Thanks to everyone for all the likes. Thanks to all the subscribers. And thanks to everybody who leaves a comment, and we read every single one. Just leaves me to say, on behalf of Mike and I, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.